Okay, so this one is build your own private mobile network. Okay, so I got a shout out in this post, so I want to give a little bit of context. So mid 1990s, so I was 8 to 10 years old. So I was one of these young family and 5 or 6 kids in the basement. It was a really fun setup. And so my dad said, okay, we bought a box, contained a bunch of 3Com network cards, a hub and drivers and cables, and set up a home network. He had this Visio flowchart that had everything in there. I still remember because at that time our ISP allocated us an entire class C. So we,
Really?
we were all 209.20.218. And it was really neat. Back then it was giving them out for free. What are they going to do with this? Addresses. These were the cards that we were using. I still remember this, the 3Com 3C 509B combo card. And I remember going through the menus and setting every IRQ setting and to make sure that my sound blaster and the network card work at the same time. So
Yeah, I remember these use the wax cables, right?
they could use either. That's the combo
Correct.
card. You could
Okay,
use
got it.
either the token ring or the regular Cat. Well, at the time it was a Cat 2, but Cat 5 cables.
Yeah, I remember doing this coax cables and setting up a ring network with these chips. So that's pretty cool.
So now fast forward a couple of decades, and AWS is announcing private 5G networks. So this is an interesting one. Okay, we have according to the blog post, it's okay. It gives you a box of hardware and software. You can deploy your own private mobile network in a matter of days. So I guess when you sign up for this service, Amazon will give you the radio and the SIM cards. It's 4G for now and 5G in the future. And AWS is managing the infrastructure. You can get APIs for, I assume, registering new SIM cards or for changing some of the radio parameters. This is an area I know a lot about. So, what's the initial reaction to this?
So I just found it funny that AWS 5G is really 4G. That was definitely interesting. But as I was getting through this, I was trying to understand where we would be using this. So each radio right now supports 100 SIMs. Okay. And I think a lot of the use cases that they talk about are about IoT and manufacturing use cases. But if you really think about it, you need an internet backbone somewhere near radio. So if you're going to have the internet backbone anyway, and you have a manufacturing unit, wouldn't Wi-Fi just be easier? And you could spread Wi-Fi as much as you want across that setup. Or if you had multiple, locations spread, then you could, use any of the Ubiquiti hardware or Cisco hardware, whatever, to these point-to-point networks over radio signal, and then have Wi-Fi locally. So I'm still struggling a little bit to understand who uses this, which customer. They haven't put out a use case yet, which actually would really help to understand the use cases. I know that Amazon doesn't build anything unless there is a customer use case. So I would love to know who is actually using this and why. Also, when you look at pricing, this is
Let's
pretty
scroll down.
pricey, right? I mean, it's what, $10 an hour, if I'm not mistaken.
Here we go. Pricing. Each radio unit
Right.
is $10 an hour with a 60-day minimum. So we're at 60 times 24 times
It's almost
10
$90K.
just to start.
Yeah,
And
that's about $90K a
yeah.
year to set up 100 radio devices, 100 cell phone points, and that's not much. I mean, you could easily do, like, for 90 grand, you could have state of the art Wi-Fi all over the place. You could really wire up every IoT device if you needed.
So there's got to be someone who reads this post and says, "This is exactly right. We've been reading this, and Wi-Fi doesn't work because of." And initially, I was envisioning this in some very isolated factory where they didn't have cell service, but maybe it's a place where it's very crowded, or there's some radio regulations around Wi-Fi, or the Wi-Fi spectrum is too crowded. I'm not sure. I'm trying to envision exactly. I'm open to the idea that someone out there has read this and said, "I need this." But I'm not jumping out at who that is.
Yeah, I think, I mean, there is one aspect to it, which is this just seems really simple to set up. So if you're a provider who is trying to set up 5G, um, something like MVNO or whatever, this might be an easier to get there. But yeah, I'm not entirely sure why or how someone would use it. It's just really easy to get set up. So you probably get an entire telco set up in a week with far less expense, and in fact, time to market is key. So you could probably do that. Right now, you have to piggyback on one of the big, wireless providers. So instead of that, if you wanted to just set up your own from scratch without being dependent, you could just get a big pipe of internet bandwidth and provide your own service with whatever plans or you want. But given that every radio only supports 100 SIMs, that seemed like a limitation and a big one at that. And for the price, I'm not sure.
This definitely seems that you'd want to have predictable usage.
Yeah, you would have a fixed number of, IoT devices that are running on this. So again, I'm not entirely sure what real use cases or who the customer is that they do this for.
Well, and this is, I didn't realize that at this point they're still adding the mobile radio unit feature. So this might really be isolated from people out in manufacturing facility or even temporary construction job site, something that and maybe they don't need external. Maybe they just need to talk to each other in a way that 5G is better than Wi-Fi in this particular use case. Maybe because of the device support, or sure.
But Wi-Fi is pretty much all devices support Wi-Fi today.
Yeah, so. I'm not sure.
Scratching my head. So I think if I were to score this one, we're scoring on 1 to 5 on content, right? I think I'd give this a 2. Simply that we still don't know where and how to use it.
All right. I think that's just for the fact that it would be really interesting if this is who's going to want to use this. That's the most, I think, missing part of the picture. And again, maybe I'm going to bet that there's someone out there who's going to read this and say, okay, this is the thing that solves my problem. Obviously, it is. Maybe that's when it built it, but it's hard to know what it is. All right, so we'll give that a 2. Let's do that.
Yeah, I would. The other thing that I would actually like is for them to have state very clearly what the problem statement was. Right? When you look at every other AWS service, there's a problem statement that service tries to solve. Here, either the problem statement is we deploy a 5G network. But why? Why do you need to deploy a 5G network is something that I would that I'm really confused. I know it takes a while. So is this meant for telco providers? Is it meant
for somebody
private for you?
Okay, so on the product page itself, so smart manufacturing, security, campus connectivity, worker productivity.
But shouldn't Wi-Fi do all of this? Like, why is Wi-Fi not the right answer for this?
Yeah, I guess that's the question that this $90,000 a year question is what is this advantage over Wi-Fi?
Because at the end of the day, there is a internet backbone that supports this. You have to plug in your thick pipe that comes in and plug it into the radios. So all your communication is going through that network. So why 5G and not Wi-Fi? That's what I'm really confused about.
Yeah. All right. Well, I guess we'll look forward to learning more about this one. All right. Well, okay. I think that's that. Oh, and I guess for simplicity versus complexity, it's almost like too early to tell.
Yeah, we don't know the use case, so it's hard to say. We don't have a use case to say it makes life easier. For right now, I think given the trade-off between Wi-Fi and 5G, the fact that we don't understand it, I'd say it's confusing things a little bit.
All right, so I have to come up with more graphics.
Yeah, so Yeah, I think leave it open, and we'll try and get more clarity from the AWS team. And it's good that we are at the AWS Summit, so we'll probably get someone tomorrow or today and see if we can get this question answered.
Perfect. All right. Well, let's switch gears